Hey, welcome back to First Time Feast. I'm your host, Bobby Perko. Today we got a good one for you. We're gonna be knocking out some Crab Rangoon. So Crab Rangoon is one of my favorite things. I love Crab Rangoon. Whenever I go to get some Chinese food, I order like a dozen of them and I eat them all. But the problem is my fiance, she wants them too. So I had to learn how to make them. They're really, really simple. I'm gonna show you how to do it. After that, we're gonna make some sweet and sour sauce because you can't have Crab Rangoon without the sweet and sour sauce. So if you wanna follow along, let's get it. All right. So first thing that we're going to want to do, Crab Rangoon, we're going to want to get the filling made, okay? So with the filling, there's really not a lot into it. So you're going to have some cream cheese, you're going to use your cream cheese, you're going to do some green onions, you're going to do some garlic, completely optional, and then you're just going to have a couple of little bit of seasonings, okay? So we're going to start with getting our cream cheese out. You want to get your cream cheese, leave it on the counter for about 30 minutes to an hour. You want to soften up your cream cheese. If it's not soft, it's going to be really hard to work with. It's going to be really not really malleable, and it's just going to take a little bit more time to kind of incorporate it. So we're going to go ahead and get with our cream cheese. We're going to go ahead and do 2 packs of cream cheese. These are going to be your 8-ounce packages. This is going to make probably a good 20 to 25 Crab Rangoons. So my favorite part, opening these things and making a huge mess. If you've seen my channel or if you watch my my show, you know I don't really like a lot of stuff on my hands. So opening cottage or cream cheese, I always get this stuff everywhere and I hate it. So we're going to try to do this as carefully as possible. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to toss this right into our mixer. We got a really fancy mixer here today, so you can use this do this by hand. You can put it in a bowl with a whisk, whatever you want. But we're going to use this mixer here today. So we're going to go ahead and toss in our first one, and then we're going to go ahead and get our second one opened up, and we're going to get this guy tossed in also. Go ahead. This first one was pretty much successful. We didn't get anything on ourselves, but the second one, I have a feeling it's going to come back with a vengeance. So let's get this guy open. Oh, I can tell already. It's all caked to the sides. All right. Carefully. Carefully. We're going to toss her in. Get her in there. It's clinging on for dear life. It doesn't want to go in. All right. There we go. We got her in. All right. We got 2. So that's going to be in there. Now, get yourself a nice little bushel of green onions. I love green onions. My fiance loves green onions. So you can really use as many or as few of these as you want. We're just going to chop the end off, get the consistency here, set that stuff aside for later, and then we're really just going to work this down. I like decent sized chunks of green onions in my Crab Rangoon. I like that bite to it. So we're going to go about a 1/4 cup of these green onions. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and just toss these all in, evenly spread them around. Get that all spread around. Don't forget our stragglers over here. And we're going to go ahead and toss those in. As for the next seasoning, we're going to go with some garlic. Go ahead and get yourself probably 2-3 cloves. We're just going to go with 2 cloves for today. So, trick with garlic, I've showed you this before, but if you're a new viewer today, go ahead, lay your garlic down, lay your knife over the top, pop it. And it's going to pop it open. It's going to open it up, make it really, really easy for you to work with. Just peel the skin off. And then because of that, it breaks down the fibers of the garlic. It makes it a lot easier to work with. So you can literally just take your knife and chop, chop, chop. Break this down into smaller little chunks. Perfect. Set that one aside. Next garlic clove. Pop. Peel off all the junk. Take the skin off. Set that aside. I say save it for later. We're not saving that for later. We're literally just going to toss it in the trash. So we're going to chop this guy up. Perfect. Accumulate all of our garlic together. Let's go ahead and break that down just a little bit more because we don't want really any big chunks in our Crab Rangoons. We don't want anything huge. So we'll set that aside. And we're going to gather this up on our knife. Let's get that little end piece out of there. And we are going to go toss this into our bowl over here. Toss that in. Grab our last little bit off the cutting board. Maybe. All right, toss that in. So now our veggies are in there. So what's the next thing? The most important part, you got to have the crab. So most of the time when you're eating Crab Rangoon, I can almost assure you that you're not eating crab. Crab is kind of expensive, so a lot of the times if you do see something that looks like crab, you're eating this. It's imitation crab. So imitation crab is basically just, it's Alaskan pollock. Sometimes it's carp, sometimes it's other types of fish, but this is made out of an Alaskan pollock. So not crab, but we're gonna go ahead and open it up with our super sharp knife, and we're going to break down a couple of pieces of this. So we're gonna throw it on the cutting board. It looks really nice, it's kind of pretty. And we're simply just gonna chop this up. We can rough chop it, you can fine chop it. Just kind of gotta get it into small little manageable pieces. Okay, and we're gonna break that down again. Kind of just break it down. We don't have to do anything too fancy or anything crazy with it. We just want it into like manageable chunks, okay? So now that we got that broken down, get our garlic clove out of there from earlier. We're gonna go ahead and transfer this over into our pot without dropping it all over the floor. Move that in there. And then what you could do, if we wanted to make this a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more real thing, we're gonna throw some crab meat in there. I know it's canned crab meat. It's not, you know, snow crab legs or king crab legs, but it is crab, and it's actually tastes pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and struggle with this can opener, and we're gonna get this guy open real quick and get our crab meat in there. Last time I did this, it came out really, really good, guys, but you're gonna wanna do one important thing, and that's you're gonna wanna strain off, there's some liquid and juice in here. So we're just gonna strain this off real quick. Yeah, as you can see, you don't want that in there. That's gonna kind of give you a little bit of a fishy flavor, kind of a stank. You don't want that in your crab rangoon. So that's drained off. We open this guy up. It's gonna come in like a little bit of a sealer. Throw that out of there. And we got some really good lump crab meat. That crab meat is a lot better than this imitation crab. You can tell by the flavor, you can tell by the texture of it. It's just a lot better. So we're gonna go ahead and toss this guy in there real quick. We're gonna go with the whole can. So last time that I was eating at a Chinese restaurant and I ordered some Crab Rangoon, this thing literally had no crab meat in it. It was all cream cheese. It was just cream cheese and seasoning. I don't even think there was a green onion in it. So if you want to make these really, really good at home, you can control what you put in there. So far, we got our lump crab meat, we got our crab meat, we got our garlic, and we got our green onion, and obviously our cream cheese. What are we forgetting? We're forgetting our seasonings. So if you watched last week's episode, I was telling you about the 4 seasonings that you can use for anything. We got our salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. Literally just about anything you're cooking, as long as you got those, you're in business. So we're just gonna go ahead and season to taste. We're not gonna measure anything out for this. We're just gonna kind of sprinkle a little bit of this, a little bit of that in there. We're gonna go with a little bit of black pepper. We're gonna toss in a little bit of that, okay? You know, that looks pretty good. We got a nice coating in there. Season it with salt. It's not gonna need a ton of salt, but because it's got that crab in there, but we are gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt in there. We're gonna hit it with our granulated garlic powder. Again, a little bit of just garlic just to taste. We got the real garlic in there, but you know, that extra garlic powder adds a little bit of extra. And then our onion powder. So we're gonna sprinkle some of that in there. And then the last thing that we're gonna do for this Crab Rangoon filling is we're just gonna add a splash of soy sauce, okay? So just a splash. We don't really wanna use a lot. We're probably talking about like a half of a teaspoon of this. So we're just gonna pour a little bit of that in there. Perfect, okay. So we don't want to overmix this. If you overmix this, all of that crab, all of that meat is just gonna get beaten to heck, and it's just gonna be gross. So we're gonna kind of mix this really, really slowly. So we can even pulse it, kind of give you an idea. So it kind of, whoa. All right. That is actually looking really, really good. So we'll do it one more time here. Perfect. So we got our mixture completely incorporated. Everything's all moved together. We got it all nice and lumped together. What you can do, you can take this mixture and you can put it in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let it set up, get it really nice and solidified, so that way when you toss it in your fryer, you don't have a huge problem on your hands, okay? So real quick, we're just gonna clean up a little bit and we're gonna get ready to fill these and fry these. All right, so we got our Crab Rangoon mixture all mixed up and we got it set aside in our bowl. So now what we want to do, we want to make sure we're starting to bring our oil up to heat. You want to fry your Crab Rangoon roughly at around 350 degrees. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get our oil up to heat. So while we're doing that, we're going to start filling our wontons. So there's a couple of critical steps that you're going to want to take away with doing this. So first thing, so you're going to want to get your wonton wrapper. If you're working with these and you have these out in the open for a long period of time, do yourself a favor, get yourself a wet paper towel and just rest them over the top because these things are kind of brittle. They'll dry out. They're basically just a really, really thin pastry covered in flour, so they can dry out pretty quickly. So when you're doing with this, there's a couple of different methods that you can follow. One, you're going to want to get yourself a little thing of water. You can use egg wash or you can use water. It doesn't really matter. I've done them both ways, and I can't really seem to find a difference on which one works better. So the other thing that you can take away is some people will literally take their finger and they'll coat just the edges, okay? I personally find I like to coat the entire thing. So we're gonna go ahead and take our little teaspoon here, tablespoon, and we're gonna measure that out and we're just gonna kind of coat the entire thing with it. That's gonna allow this to be a lot more pliable and it's gonna allow you to fold it and it'll seal a lot better, okay? So we got that thing completely coated. It's you know, it's been padded with our water. Now we're gonna wanna take our filling. We have a ton of filling, guys. So you're gonna think you're gonna wanna pile in a huge scoop and fill this thing up. That would be a mistake. I can assure you that's gonna be a mistake. When you do these Crab Rangoon, you want to be consistent, but you also want to not overfill them. It doesn't take a lot to fill these guys up. So we're going to go with about a half of a spoonful, okay? So this is about a tablespoon. There's really not a lot here, okay? So when you grab these, you can go about folding these. There's about 3 or 4 different methods that you can fold these. I'm going to show you a couple of them here. There's no wrong way. So the first thing that I like to do, the way that I do them at the house, so you're going to take your middle finger and your thumb, okay? Middle finger and thumb, and you're grab it on one side, and you're gonna grab it on the other side, and you're just gonna lift it up, right? And then once you have it lifted up, grab your thumb and your pointer finger, and you basically just bring it together like so, and you just pinch it, just like that. You pinch it. And even though we were being really careful on how to not overfill this, we still managed to overfill it just a little bit. So you can go ahead and just for that overfilling, you can just go ahead and pinch that off and you can go ahead and throw that right back in the bowl. It'll be okay. So we're gonna set that one aside. We're gonna have a couple that are looking to look pretty ugly. We're gonna have a couple that look really, really good. That's just how it works, right? Crab Rangoon, there's no perfect method of doing it, but you'll find out the more you do, the better you get at it. And by the end, I bet you we're gonna have some that look pretty rock star. So we're gonna set this aside and we're just gonna start cranking out a couple and going to work on this, okay? So. Water. Let's go ahead and spread that around. We're gonna grab our filling. We're gonna try not to overfill this one, even though we tried on the first one. We're gonna go with a little bit less filling. Okay, we're just gonna do a dab there in the center. And like I said, I hate having stuff on my hands. So we're gonna wipe that off. Now we're gonna try to go a different method this time. We're gonna go and we're gonna bring in our corners. We're gonna lift it up. So we're gonna bring in one corner, bring in the other corner. I'm gonna kind of pinch those up here at the top. And then we're gonna bring in our 2 sides over here also. And we're gonna kind of bring this together like almost like a pyramid. And that, I think what we did, we used a little bit too much water for that guy. And so that one is gonna be kind of ugly. That's the that's the redheaded stepsister that no one likes, but that's okay. She's still gonna taste pretty good. That's a bad reference for food. Probably don't use that. Sorry. Oh, man. All right. So we're just going to keep going here, guys. Oh, forgot the water. All right. We're going to use a little bit less water. We're just going to move this thing around. Go with our filling here. We're going to knock out about 6 of these, and then we're going to start frying them. So then the other way that you can do these, you can literally fold it over like a pyramid and do it like a triangle. It's almost like a little empanada. So we got 3 different versions of how to do crab rangoon. So your preference is entirely up to you. It really depends on how you like to do them. I personally like the first method. They're a little bit easier to make. I personally just like the way they kind of come together. So we're just going to whip out a couple more of these. Reach out to me on my Facebook channel. Let me know what your favorite crab rangoon style is and where your favorite place is to get crab rangoon. So we're just going to pinch these together. We're going to pinch it together just like so. And we're going to knock that out. All right. Let's go ahead and do a couple at a time real quick. Speed this up a little bit. Okay. Let's get some green onions, get some crab. All right, let's try our hand at that first or that second method again. So I want to try to get that one a little bit better looking. Let's see if we can do it right. All right, let's lay this out flat, top that guy in there. So let's bring our sides up, and we just want to pinch this all together up at the top, kind of like that, and we'll work our way down. Work our way down, pinch it together, seal it all up, and we got ourselves a nice little crab rangoon. And this last one, we'll just do the pyramid again, just so we have some consistency here. All right, pyramid, she's all sealed up, nice. All right, perfect. All right. All right, guys. So now that we got our crab rangoon all assembled, so we have 3 different variations of the exact same thing. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to test our oil. So we want to make sure before we toss a whole crab rangoon in there, we want to make sure our oil is nice and hot. So we're just going to rip off a nice little section of this wonton wrapper. We're going to toss it in and see what she does. So I think she's starting to bubble. She's floating to the top. Absolutely perfect. That is just what we want. So let's go ahead and fish that guy out of there, and we'll start tossing them in. Okay, so when you're doing these, you want to make sure you don't overfill your pot, because then it's going to kind of get a little bit crowded in there. They're not going to fry as evenly, and you might just have a little bit of a mess on your hands. So we're going to go ahead and toss one of these little beauties in there first. Be careful you don't burn yourself. We'll go ahead and start getting another one in there. We're going to do about 4 of these at a time. Toss them in, let them cook. And while we're cooking them, we're going to get a plate ready to get these guys get these guys ready for dinner. All right, so while they're cooking, they're going to start flowing to the top, so kind of just bat them down. Or you can rotate them around, you can flip them up, you can flip them down, just so that they cook evenly all the way around. Now, this is some really hot oil, so it's not going to take very long. You're really only going to cook these for about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so these are just about, actually maybe even 45 seconds, because these are really coming together really quick. Be careful, they're going to pop. That's okay. We did have a little bit of water on these wrappers, so they're going to be angry when they go in there. These are looking really good. Pull these out, and then we're going to toss in our last couple here real quick. Okay, toss in our last 2, and then we're going to start making our dipping sauce. All right. Let's give them a little flip real quick. They're really wanting to float one side up. Come on, flip over. Perfect. So, as you can see, making this is really nothing to it. It's just a few ingredients, you put it together, whisk it around, fill up a wonton wrapper and fry it. I know a lot of times it feels like it's overwhelming to try cooking something for the first time, but trust me, you're no one's perfect, right? You're not going to master anything by sitting on the couch, so go ahead and give it an attempt. Worst case scenario is you learn something from it. So these are pretty much done. We're going to let them cool off and rest up. If you bit into this right now, you're going to have a bad time. So we're going to let those sit there. We're going to turn our oil off for the time being. We don't want to waste any gas and let that kind of get out of control. So the last thing that we want to do, we want to work on our sauce. You can't have crab rangoons without the sauce. So we're going to go ahead and make some sweet and sour sauce. Let's get it. So first thing that we're going to want to do, we're going to want to use 3/4 cup of sugar. Okay, that sounds like a lot of sugar, but sweet and sour sauce, it's sweet and there's a little bit of sour to it. So we're going to use 3/4 cup of sugar. We're going to go ahead and toss that into our saucepan, the whole thing. Toss that guy in there, let that go. We're going to turn our heat on and we're going to turn it on very low to start. And I know there's no liquid in here, don't worry about it, we're going to get to it, it'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn our heat on, turn it on low. While that's going up to, while that's starting to get up to heat, what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to grab our cup of water here. We got 1 whole cup of water. But before we add in our cup of water, we want to add in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. If you don't have cornstarch, you can use potato starch, you can use a couple of other things here, but we're going to go ahead and do 1 whole tablespoon of cornstarch. You can add it directly into your powdered mixture, but you're going to run into an issue of clumping, right? We don't want to have that issue. So we're going to go ahead and mix that in together real quick. If you mix it into your water ahead of time, it's going to create this slurry. That's what you're really aiming for. So we got our cup of water and we got our cornstarch. We're going to add this to our sugar. Go ahead and pour this in there. Okay, so that's beautiful. We're going to set that aside and we're going to start mixing this together here. Okay, going to let that sugar break down. We're going to let that cornstarch, basically that cornstarch is just acting as a thickener. It's going to act as a binder. It's going to allow this to kind of thicken up, and not quite to the point of having like a jelly or a jello, but it's going to allow this to be kind of gelatinous and not just a straight ooey gooey liquid. Okay, so while that's going, that's cooking away, we're going to turn our heat up a little bit more now that we got our water in there. So here's where you get the sour come from. So we got some rice vinegar. So with the rice vinegar, again, we're going to want to go with a tablespoon of this rice vinegar. We're going to go ahead and toss this in there real quick. Okay, we got that added. And then we're going to hit this with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. All right, add that. It's going to give a little bit of a flavor. And then y'all see this, you've all seen sweet and sour sauce. You can't forget that iconic red. So it doesn't get its natural flavoring or its natural color from the ingredients. You got to hit it with some red food coloring. So we're going to hit some red food coloring in there, about 4 or 5 drops. And I'm going to switch utensils because I don't want to dye your spoon red. Where's my whisk? All right, we're just going to start whisking this together. That sugar is going to start breaking down. Our sauce is going to start looking like a sweet and sour sauce. The color's right. Smell of it, it smells really, really, really good. There's really not a lot to it, right? Just some sugar, some soy sauce, and some vinegar. So really not a lot to this sauce. There's other recipes out there. I mean, I've seen a lot of recipes where they use like pineapple juice and ketchup. Go ahead, right? If that's what you want to use, that's what you want to use. So this is going to simmer down. We're going to let it reduce for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to finish up and eat our crab rangoons. All we're doing right now is we're just trying to reduce this. We don't want to completely caramelize it. We just want to thicken up a little bit. You want to be careful when you do this. You don't want to overcook it to where it overflows. So just watch your heat, monitor your heat a little bit, keep stirring it, and then just dial your heat back and it'll start reducing. Okay, so that's good. We're gonna turn that off. And then we're just gonna go ahead and fill up our ramekin. Got some beautiful sweet and sour sauce. Made it from scratch. I mean, this is honestly, not gonna lie to you, this is the first time I've made sweet and sour sauce with this recipe. So I'm really curious to see how she goes. Perfect. So we got that all filled up. It smells great. It smells really, really good. So we're gonna go ahead and set that there in the center. And we're just gonna finish her off with just a little bit of green onions just for color. And there you have it, guys. That's all it is. So homemade crab rangoon. You saw how we did it. Really, really simple. Thanks for watching today's show. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch me cook. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you would like to see, reach out to me on First Time Feast at YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, or on TikTok. Let me know what you want to see. Thanks for watching. Peace.